We're going to share a meditation that comes from a book entitled A World Worth Saving, Lenten Spiritual Practices for Action, written by George Havanis. This particular section starts with this quote from the Gospel according to John. Indeed, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. In the 1950s, people in Western cultures began using the term compassion fatigue to describe the overworked and overstressed nurses. Those who experience compassion fatigue feel hopeless in the face of daily challenges. Some people today think that the United States and elsewhere suffers from compassion fatigue because news outlets relay constant coverage of tragedies. Social scientists also point to the effects that constant appeals to donate money to multiple causes have on people. We also read and hear stories about financial malfeasance of directors or leaders of businesses and charitable organizations. This saturation of bad news, cynicism, and hopelessness seems to rule the world. We feel no desire to make a difference in it.
Even if we do not suffer from fully developed compassion fatigue, we often experience some degree of apathy. Those who feel apathy no longer exhibit interest or concern in social, spiritual, emotional, or physical life. They simply feel indifferent to life. This condition affects people of all faiths and beliefs and is not new. By the 17th century, the church called this indifference to life a spiritual sickness, acedia, and first identified the disease among monks who became unable to perform their duties. Centuries earlier, Thomas Aquinas related acedia, which he also described as the sorrow of the world, to sloth, one of the 7 deadly sins. Theologians in the Middle Ages thought that not caring for the world, which they identified as sloth, led people to suicide, the gravest form of this spiritual illness.
Most of us do not experience apathy to this degree. We are just a little apathetic. We perceive the world as stacked against our efforts. Large corporations seem to care little about their impact upon the world beyond their own profits. We witness governments that cannot care for their needy and sputter to achieve peace and stability. We see cover-ups or schemes to hide their misconduct. We witness famine and genocide in other parts of the world and think the problems are so large that we cannot make a difference. Why try?
The answer takes us back to my point. God thinks the world is worth saving. As followers of Jesus Christ, we believe that the world is worthy of redemption. We can and do make a difference in the world. Our caring actions help redeem the world. Together with God, we provide necessary assistance, grow spiritually through mission, and demonstrate our belief in God's ongoing offer of salvation to the world.
This Lenten season, I invite us to break from the usual custom of fasting or other forms of self-denial, and instead to fast from apathy. That means we set aside all our non-caring attitudes and move closer to the caring love of God. Even in its mildest form, apathy is a spiritual illness. The cure for apathy is also a spiritual one. We must move from prayer to action. Remember that the Israelites and people in biblical times fasted for 3 purposes: forgiveness and reconciliation with God and with others, grief, and in preparation for deep spiritual experiences. They fasted to be open to God. Many of our world's conditions cause a bottomless grief and sorrow. We grieve these conditions because they show us the brokenness of our world.
God thinks that the world is worth saving and invites us to believe this too. If we, like Jesus Christ, believe the world is worth saving, then we will act on behalf of Christ for the sake of the world. We will serve others in the ways that Jesus served others. We will speak and act against injustice in the world. We will feed the hungry and find ways to change food policies. We will clothe the naked and minister to those who are homeless. We will visit those in prison and work to make the prison a place where individuals are restored to wholeness. We will make God's justice and love real on earth. We will find new ways to exercise stewardship for all creation. We will do all this because the world is worthy of redemption. God invites us to fast from apathy and to love the world as Jesus Christ loves the world. Amen.